This is going to be my Creepypasta video called Late Night Meal. It says the reading time is 7 minutes, but we'll see how long it takes through it. Because my reading's still pretty not so great. But anyway, iron, pure metal, warm wet blood. A sharp intense pain surged through my face as my brain slammed against the unforgiving strength of my skull. As the metallic taste of my own as the metallic taste of my own body fluid filled my mouth, I attempted to reopen my vigorously locked eyes. What? Eyelids finally reopening, they were immediately stabbed with the merciless onslaught of darkness. Nothing but a fuzzy, incomprehensible world of emptiness in front of me. What? My only thought as I sluggishly regained my consciousness, not a single idea could have dared to enter my mind except this one word: second pass. And soon I was able to accept the world I was presented with as I tried to make sense of why my entire face was screaming in agony, why my lungs weren't cooperating as they pierced my chest in anger, why this putrid taste of viscous fluid was in my mouth. What? Oh yeah, and by the way, all the what's are what's in the story. My head was pounding immensely. Just stop. I spat out my blood and began drawing heavy and painful breaths. If there is so much oxygen here, why do I have none? Trying to regain composure, I felt it. Every last nerve shot itself in my face. All at once, the blood poured in through the veins and told my body to suffer. I think I understood. I was stuck with something, surely. What other reason could there be? But how? Logic finally is making its way back into existence. I attempted to give a reason with the terms I had been given. Despite my throbbing brain, my attempts at a clear thought, I always forced myself to collect information. I was in a room. Did I know this dark place? The color? Dark turquoise. It was familiar. I was in a room, now surveying more thoroughly. I came up upon the realization that this was no ordinary room. It was mine. I had to have been in my own house. Sorry about that. My throat was drying out. Alright. That happened. That appeared simple enough, but what happened? There was no other person in the room besides me. Everything appeared to be normal. I studied every inch of the room, looking for something that may have struck me. I looked upward, downward, then under the bed, then the closet. What happened? Minutes flew by, and I still could not make any connection as to how I was put into that situation. Several minutes more no longer existed. Still no idea. After a myriad of ticking and talking, a myriad of scavenging through every last amount of space in the room, I found it. It was a box, and according to its features, it was my assailant. In the dark room, in the dark of the room. How does that work? Moonlight glistened and sparkled on the little rectangular box. It was shrouded in dust and produced a light yet musty odor. It was nothing more than a mahogany box with a lock of silver. How does lock of silver make any sense? But anyway, it hardly looked like its contents would be worth of anything. I could not remember ever seeing this box before, let alone receiving it or using it. The questions I imposed next were obvious but unanswered. What was it doing here, and what's inside the box? Of course, I had no way of coming up with an explanation, so I suppose I just had to leave it at that. But that didn't mean that I didn't want to know. Upon further inspection of the box, I unconsciously ended up remembering what had taken place before that incident. I was sleeping, or rather, I was tormented. I vividly recalled emotions of terror and an unparalleled attack of dread and horror. It was nothing, absolutely nothing like I had ever felt before. My body was chained in paralysis. I'm sorry, my teeth can't make me say words right sometimes. As I endured the utmost disgusting and horrific experience ever conjured, the details were minute. I could scarce. What the? That doesn't even make any sense. Make any rational thought as to what occurred, other than the fact that there was nothing but hopelessness, fear, and misery. I suppose none of that really mattered. What mattered to me was figuring out what was going on. I had on my mind set. I was going to draw a conclusion and get my answer. The only way I was going to be able to be satisfied, I began formulating. I drew vague interpretations of events and fitted them together like puzzle pieces. My mind was scrambling with meticulous intrigue. A minute or so has passed, and methought, my eyes shot open, and I grew into the size of golf balls. My nerves sprang and leapt everywhere throughout my body. I lost all sense of thought. All myself began melting into panic. Sweat began protruding from the burning of my skin. I could hear something behind me. Heavy now. Deep, low, and grunting and panting, almost breathing. It's all encompassing authority threw my heart into an infinite, unending abyss of Decipheria. My body not yet taken to trembling, but it grew more intense, louder. It was bombarding my ears with putridity, or my fucking the way my mouth works. Sorry. The skin on the back of my neck could almost feel the warmth as the intensity blasted even ever more. Sheer terror ran its course in my skin. Every last hair standing erect, like strings on a guitar. No coherent thought made its way into my mind. Oh, that's the best way I could. That's the best way I could read that. I don't know how the hell to read that. I painstakingly forced myself to swallow my soul and throw my head around to face my tormentor. It felt the. Goddamn, my throat's dry. It felt as though every muscle sprained itself as I thrashed my head around toward the breathing. Terrified, I was struck with an unrelenting realization that my circumstances, my heart collapsed with fear when I put it all together. Nothing was behind me. It had to be, it couldn't be. The box. Even though it was right in front of me, the grunting and heavy breathing, the grunting and heaving could not have any other possible source except that box. What else could have caused the breathing? It couldn't have been any more than a few inches in length. Not a clue as to the minimal size of its width, no. It was too small. Please. Unwillingly, the words were forced out of my mouth. My tongue let loose sound. Perhaps in an attempt to dispel the vile grunting, the words hardly took shape. They were gnarled and bent as they were released from my mouth. Released from my sticky, dry, and blood-stained mouth. This plead would do no good, or so I thought, as if the box could hear me. The breathing that plagued me came to an unnerving halt. No other sound passed. It was devoid of life. Silence. My chest still ready to burst from my exploding heart. I scooped the box up and rushed to the trash cans outside. I chucked it into the can, smashed the lid shut, and that was the end of it. In the dark of that night, I lay in bed, trying to erase my memory of the events that transpired earlier. The soothing warmth and soft hug of the blanket wrapped around me brought comfort. I was drenched in weariness and let my eyes close. Thoughts of my childhood flashed before me. Times of youth and wonder, playing in the snow when I was younger. It had always been nostalgic to watch my neighbor's children building snowmen and hurling snowballs at one another. My brother and I would race each other down the hills around our neighborhood. I lost nearly every time, but that didn't stop me. The ocean of Europa enveloped me. I was caressed by the imaginary sound of snow boots crunching on the snow, like tough sprinkles of white dancing, waltzing about in the cool air. Every bit of my essence was embraced in bliss. What I would have done to go back to. What would I have done to go back to? My heart stopped all at once, then began to accelerate painfully. My soul, galvanized in panic, a deep and slow grunting, I could hear it again. Shock flooded my body, spiked my nerves into a maddening confusion. All my eurific thoughts were wiped out of existence, crushed like bugs trying to celebrate. All I could focus on was that heaving. I'm kind of getting tired of doing the heaving thing, so I won't do it anymore. Its volumus below grew in the night. I became petrified. My body acted on its own, and I was thrashed out of my bed, and I ran for the light switch, which reassurance of the light chasing out the evil of Ebony quelled my spirit. But not for long. The vicious grunting never ceased. It drowned on and on, endlessly filling the room with a demonic presence. Where was that box? It had to be disposed of. I threw around every last piece of furniture in desperation that I could find that dreaded box. Violent and wicked thoughts were shoved into my mind. They destroyed every last bit of happiness I had. I couldn't stand it. I had to end this torture. I searched for so long I forgot time existed altogether. Each and every waking moment was filled with the monotonous moaning of misery and misery of the breathing. It swelled and appalled my ears with dissonance and discourse. I searched for so long that I forgot time existed altogether. That box struck me ill with disconcerting feelings of gloom and peril. It would not get away with it. Practically hurling the drawers out of their place, I scrambled about in order to find the box. I checked every drawer on the top. I checked every drawer in the middle. Lastly, I checked every drawer on the bottom. Most section, and my eyes were assaulted with the presence of the disgusting box. This box had to be opened. At this point, I couldn't have cared less what was inside. I was going to open it and destroy it immediately. That was it. I collapsed the silver lock into my hand and pulled with my very being. It wouldn't budge. There's no use in this kind of force. There was no use in using this kind of force. Using my head, I figured I could use something else instead. Box in hand, sweat streamed down my face as I threw Hall and sprinted toward the garage. The breathing it should be has, but the breathing was chasing me as I made my way toward the door. It wouldn't let me escape its warmth on my neck, still fresh and rank. I threw the door open savagely and with urgency, my invisible pursuers of sound still following. I scurried without a thought to the workbench and snatched the item I intended to use, bolt cutters. Without hesitation, I got to work. The lock yelled out a hideous, clangorous abomination that invaded my soul as I snapped the lock's grip away. The box finally opened without further delay. The breathing no longer possessed the quality of panting, but then took the form of a gasping in desperation. I understood immediately what the contents of the box were used for. I marveled at the sight of the object within the box. Took it out. My opposer instigated me to action. The perpetual shrieking of the uneven rhythm, the laboring, harsh, and punctuated agony of the gasping would soon perish. I tasted it once more. The metallic, acrid flavor penetrated my tongue. All tension subsided. My soul was at ease. I took one final action, and there was an immensely bright flash. Iron pure metal, blood. I mean, iron, pure metal, warm, wet blood. Now, I actually enjoyed this one. If you guys sat through it, let me know what you think. I personally found it pretty interesting that the sole concept was basically him trying to piece together his life and what was going on within the box. Now, there could have been anything in that box, to be honest. In these situations, you would just never know. It could have been a number of things, for example. It could have been like a cursed box. It could have been having a cursed object in the box. It could have been pretty much anything at that point. But anyway, with that out of the way, let me know your thoughts and opinions on this story. And I'm sorry if my reading is shit and my words don't always come out right because of the way my teeth are. But with that out of the way, if you liked it, leave a like. If you disliked it, leave a dislike. If you want to see more, let me know. Subscribe and let me know your thoughts on this creepypasta. With that out of the way, this is Hellraiser 988, and I'm out.